I have to go back to unmute myself. So good evening, everyone. This is Rukayat. I'm super excited to be among us today, talking about this exciting topic. But before I proceed, I want to have a little bit of conversation with us regarding the word project management. What do you understand by project management, and why do you think companies need project managers? I'm going to be asking those two questions. Just 2 minutes for me to get some responses. Can anyone hear me? Let me confirm if you can hear me.
I can hear you, Ma. And I'm sure others can hear too.
Okay. I want to hear responses. Or probably see them in the chat. All right. So I want our responses, please. I'm open running here, but I really want to know our notion behind why it is we are hoping to be a project manager, and why is it we want to. Yes, it is static because I want to get response. I can see some people typing. I want to know why you think managers are needed, and what do you understand by project management? All right, so responses are taking too long. I might need to just jump right into projecting and explaining. Basically, the responses I'm hoping to have is just saying project management is part of our daily lives. If you are that kind of a person that you think in your room saying, okay, I'll go to the market today, I'm writing my list. When I get to the market, I'll do this before this, I'll do that before that. You're probably managing yourself, not managing a product like or a project like we all presume it's all about. Project management is in between our life, maybe school, career, academics, or family issues also. So I'm going to start it. We have 3 topics here that we are going to be discussing about. The first part is you creating a project plan from scratch, and you have to a little, how do I put it now, a subtopic I have here under creating a project plan from scratch is basically understanding the project, creating a charter, and knowing who your stakeholders are. If I am to say this, I would say your project is nothing without your stakeholders, and coming forward, they are going to know what it is to understand who your target audience is. We used to use the word target audience when it comes to the world of social media, but in the project world, we call them stakeholders. Those are people that are affected or influenced by your project. So the second part of it is building a work breakdown structure, laying your foundation for effective team management. And I also want you to asterisk a little bit of what I'm going to say in your notepad if you have a note. As a manager, you don't get things done. You are only going to be directing people that get the work done. I'll say that again. As a manager, you don't get things done. All you have to do is to direct or manage people that get it done. So this is where you knowing your team management skills very, very well. You'll be working amidst a whole lot of people, the content, the social media, the execution team, the this and that. But as a manager, all you have to do is just to manage and ensure you are setting up your project for success. And the third part of our topic is going to be scheduling and timeline creation, building daily habits and the lifeline for your project. We are going to jump right into it. So I have a little image here just to show you what it is project management is. You have to know how to communicate, meet deadlines, set goals, manage risk, because the truth is not all projects will be successful, and not all projects will go successfully. So you need to know how to manage risk, control, milestone, and all of that. So if you are that person that you're thinking project management is easy, this image is going to give you a little hands-on on what to expect. So the expectation from this is in the next 40 minutes, you will know why 70% of projects fail, because projects fail. And the reason why they fail is because they don't have plan. If you ask them, where's your project plan? What are you doing? You don't even have, you cannot even have a straightforward response. Why? Because they don't have a living document. I used to call project plan a living document. So the first segment of this, you are going to be working with how to build your project blueprints and the act of breaking down complexity. That's the part of the WBS work breakdown structure, and also the timeline mastery that actually works. So what's a project plan? What does it even mean to plan? And what's a project itself? We can say a project is something that has a beginning and a little bit of ending, because anything that we start, we must finish. Even from the two religious books, whenever something starts, there's a tendency that this thing must actually get to the very end. So what's a project plan? Why do we need a project plan? And what does a project plan do for us as a project manager? So a project plan is basically a comprehensive document that outlines. Sorry, do I have to enable my video so that you guys can see me? Sorry, I just noticed my video is not on. Hello. Do I have to enable my camera so that you can see me?
Yes, ma, if you can.
Yeah, somebody said my voice is low. Can you hear me loud and clear? I'm very sorry for that.
I can hear you loud and clear, ma.
Oh, the person said she can't hear me. Might be the network from your hand. Sorry about that. Maybe I have to enable my video. All right. So I believe you guys can see me now. So what's a
Yeah.
project plan? Like I said a project plan is basically a comprehensive document that outlines the project executive summary. So if you have a pen, you might start as thinking that building a project plan, these are the things your project plan will center around. Your executive summary, the objective of the project, because nobody comes around and say, I have a project idea, and you don't have an objective for that project. Then your scope, what it is that we are doing, what it is that we should not do, what it is that we can add on our project along the line, and your deliverables, what it is that you want to deliver with your project. The resources, not in terms of money alone, the human resources, because I said it when I started that as a manager, you don't get things done, you manage people that get it done for you. The resources in terms of financial resources, in terms of hardware, if you are working in a, let's say, in a product field now, the hardware, the software. So when it comes to this project management, it could be the materials, it could be financial resources, human resources, and all. And your timeline, okay, we are starting this project. When are we ending? All of that, and the risk management strategies, because you have to prepare for risk. We used to call it brace for impact. So the purpose of a project plan is basically to serve as a roadmap to the project team. Like I said, you are guiding a team, you're not getting it done. Align stakeholders and ensure successful delivery of the project. And the key insight is that a well-crafted project plan is the foundation for the project success. That's it, because from the beginning of the project plan, you get to see if your project is actually something you can work on. And I know of managers that whenever you consult them that you want to manage projects, the moment they have the discovery session with you, they are working on the project plan, they'll tell you for sure, sorry, your project is not feasible. So it's the project plan that will let you know, is this something I can work on? Will it be successful? So that you don't jump on things that you have to jump out of. So moving on to the next slide. What are the steps to creating a project plan? Because that was what they told me. They didn't ask me to actually explain a little much about what project plan do for us as managers. So the steps to creating a project plan, the first thing is you have to create your executive summary. And the larger your project, the larger your executive summary. And your executive summary must always start with a problem. Every project is starting with a problem. Somebody saw a problem and decided to profile a solution to the problem with a well-crafted project. So if we are not talking in the context of we need a project plan, then your project plan must include an executive summary that would have a problem statement. And the purpose of the executive summary is just to create a clear rationale for the project by articulating the problems itself and its value. What is the problem at hand? Okay, let's assume now we have a project that basically we discover in our community that majority of the students are not getting in line with what they are teaching, or maybe we discover the literacy is low and we want to create a project, or we are about creating a project. So we now thought of creating a project plan. In our project plan should include the executive summary, which is the first item on your list. And in that executive summary is a problem statement. What's the problem at hand? We discover 75% of students can't read and write after the problem. So we think this project will give this solution to this problem. I don't know if I'm making sense and you are understanding the concept of this executive summary part of the thing. So the components of a executive summary is basically the problem statement part. You describe the issue that is actually on ground that made the person that owns the project to think, I want to have a project around this. So in the context of this now, we are going to be using create a study. Can you hear me? I think I had a little bit of network glitch, but it wasn't for long. So you just use the message and let me know if you can hear me. You can't see the screen. Oh, I'm so sorry. If you can see my screen and hear me, can you please leave me a message in the group? Okay, thank you. I just wanted to be sure I've not been speaking to myself alone. So sorry for that break in transmission. The components of a well justification. Why is the project necessary? Why do we need to build this project? And I said earlier that we're going to be using the context of we creating a website. So let's assume you started your executive summary and you said here in the problem statement that our current website lack users engagement leading to, and as a manager, please always work with numbers because sometimes you have to project to stakeholders, important stakeholders. That's where you get to learn about stakeholder buying. You use number to categorize and please with facts. So the project justification will now profile a little bit of solution to the problem you stated above. A new website will enhance this and this and that. And the high level goal is basically a line or two of saying, okay, when we start the project, this is what we hope to have by this time of the day. Because a project has a beginning and a project has an ending. You need to state by the end of our project, we should have this and we should have that. And a little bit of example is our organization faces declining customer retention due to outdated website. This is just your executive summary. And like I said, the bigger your problem that you're solving with your project, the bigger your executive summary and the bigger your problem statement. So this is the first item when you're creating a project plan. And coming, the second part of it now is defining your project objective. And the little add-on I can also give you on this is ensure that you use the SMART model so that you don't fall into something we call the sunk cost fallacy. At some time, you might start working on projects that don't worth it and the project. So Defining your objective is basically using the SMART criteria, which is your executive summary or your project plan have to be specific. It has to create a plan on a project that you can't achieve or exaggerate too much in your project plan. And it has to be relevant and it has to be time bound. When are we starting? When are we finishing? So that everybody can be aware. An example of that is your project objective. Mind you, your objective cannot always be one. It depends on the project you are working on. If you are working on a physical project now, of course, your objective can be one, especially if it is a physical project that you have to seek approval, you have to go to the ministry, you have to discuss with high-level stakeholders, you have to talk with low-level stakeholders, you have to do a lot of things. Then your objective cannot be one. You have to have numerous objectives. So the first item is the executive summary. The second item is the project objective. What oh, sorry, am I back? It seems I went off for some time. Oh my, sorry. That's 7:48. All right, so I'll just have a little step, some 2 steps backwards on what I've said. Sorry. I discovered I had some network issues too from my end. So I believe you guys heard me onto this part of the executive summary, which I said is the first item on your list whenever you are creating a project plan. And it must, not should, it is a must that your executive summary include a problem statement where you clearly state the issue that the issue your project is addressing. Because nobody will create a project without identifying a particular issue. And the second part of it is your project justification. You need to justify the need for your project. If you can't justify, then your project is not needed in the first instance. And then the high level goal. What do we want to do? And how do we do it? So that's the part of the executive summary, which is the first item when we are talking about the project plan. And I said, I don't know if you can get that, that we are going to be using the instance of working on the website. So all of our examples are going to be centering around the website. Mind you, despite it's the website, the knowledge and the practicability of it is still replicable in other aspect of it. If you are managing a physical project, it's still the same way. We don't jump step. If you're managing an online event, if you're managing a physical project, all of them still go hand in hand. And then the second item we have here is the project objective. Like I said, you have to work with a SMART criteria. A SMART criteria in terms of your project must be specific, your project plan rather must be specific. And my network is kind of bad. Apologies, MTN, Jimmy, Shiggy. I've done everything I could. I want to believe you can hear me now. So we are still discussing about the project objective, which I said is the second item on the list whenever we are talking about project plan. And I said we'll be using a SMART criteria because we don't want to say as a project manager, okay, we are going to give the school students some 50 books. That I just said is not being smart. We are giving them 50 books. Who are we giving? What is the number? By when we give them? How many percent are we looking to give? That's when you can say your project objective is smart. It must be specific, it must be measurable, achievable, relevant, and also time bound. We need to know who is doing what by when. The who is specific, what it is measurable and achievable. So the third item in the list is your identifying your stakeholders. I'll refer back to the sentence I said when I started. People that get it done for you. So identifying your stakeholders are stakeholders, because if they don't work on the project is going to be impacted negatively. And the people that we are doing the project for, they are also stakeholders, because they are going to be influenced by the outcome of our project. And even people that can sit on their chair and say, if they don't sign, the project don't go anywhere, they're also stakeholders. So this is where you need to identify all stakeholders, and we have primary and secondary. The primary are the major stakeholder projects, while the secondary are people that are not too major, but you need them along the line. And also creating a stakeholder register to track their roles, their influence, and their communication needs. Not all stakeholders can be communicated through via WhatsApp. There are some that you have to go and submit letter to their office officially. You have to check in with them, not on phone. You have to go to the office, because this is Nigeria. And the fourth item here is determining your scope. I will say something now. We used to call something sunk O fallacy. Sunk like SUNK, and fallacy. It's basically when you've started a project, along the line, you've gone into the project for a very long time. Then along the line, you recognize an issue, maybe an issue that this project is not what it is in the first instance.
Good evening, everyone. I think there's a problem with the Okay, I think she's back online. Miss Rukayat Adekola, can you hear me now?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's wrong with my network. I've been doing everything I can, but it just seems to be so unfortunate. Can anybody tell me the parts you heard me before I went off, so that I can brush back a little and not waste our time, please? So can I know at what point I went off, because I didn't got to know my network was bad. Let me see the chat. All right, so I'll just start from the second item in the list then. Smart explanation. Thank you. I was actually thinking of starting from that as well. Yeah, so we are not talking in the context of you creating your project objective in the smart model. That's because it saves you a lot of stress. You know who is doing what by when and in terms of percentage. So the acronym for SMART is basically, the full meaning rather, is basically being specific. Your project objective must be specific, must be measurable, it must be achievable, and it must also be relevant and time bound. An example of this is launch a new website, the new product website by Q3 2026. You see, it has time, it is specific. Launch a new website, we know that by what time, and the relevance of this is going to increase our customer engagement by this percentage. Every project objective must be specific and must be measurable using the SMART model. And It depends on what you are working on. If you are working on a very large scale project, you are might likely have more than a single objective. And that's your second item in the list whenever you're creating a project plan. And the third item is identifying your stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Who are the people that are going to be impacted by your project? Who are the people that can influence your project? Who are the people that, if they don't say yes, your project is grounded? So those are the individual that you should take cognizance of. And it is always ideal to list all the individual or groups impacted or influencing the project. And as a manager, even your team member is a stakeholder. If your team member refuses to do a certain task, as a manager, you can't get it done. Maybe you are not even trained in that aspect. You are just best at managing people. If a team member is refusing to do something, then that person is a stakeholder, because the impact of him or her not doing something will affect the project on the long run. And that's that for the third item. And then the fourth item is determining your scope. And I will use this analogy. How many of us have gone to supermarkets with the idea of, I want to buy maybe bread, and you went out to a supermarket? I want us to send me messages in the group if you have actually fall into this scope before. You left your house because you wanted to buy bread, and by the end of the day, to the glory of God, you are going to return from that supermarket full shopping bags. Everybody, if not everybody, but me. Do you know why that happens? Because I literally didn't I didn't write what I want to go and buy. If I do put a pen down to say I'm buying this in the market, if I don't see it in my list, I'm not buying. That is why in the beginning I said project management is not just about managing projects, is actually centered around us and an individual. So determining your scope is very, very important. You don't want to fall outside scope, because if you fall outside scope, you might be doing something that is not beneficial to your project again. And clearly including, outlining what is included in your project. We are working on this project. This is what we are going to do. And these are the things we will not do. We are doing this, we are not doing this. It's just like a circle. Anything that falls outside of the circle, we are not doing. And using a scope statement to avoid scope creep. It is very, very common. You start a project, then the stakeholder will just come, because these stakeholders are the people that are giving you money. And they'll just come and say, what if we had this? You are going into scope creep because you didn't include it in your scope and you are doing it. And the fifth item is identifying your deliverables. What are the things we are going to be doing in this project? Okay, I will use a simple instance to be fast so that I won't take our time. I want to work on a project to manage maybe an educational project targeted towards on the South community. And for instance, immediately the person comes to me that I want you to manage my project. The first thing that will come to my mind, even before your project plan sometimes, will come your project charter. Your project charter will just include a short objective, the stakeholder, what you think the project wants to do, and then you send it to the owner of the project. Do you think this is what we want? And the person might say, no, you didn't include this, let's include, that's your project charter. And hopefully for the end of this video, I can, or maybe tomorrow, I'll just make some, because I have them in my Google Drive. I'll give you a little bit of templates I've been using over the past few years. The project charter, the Gantt chart, what breakdown structure, the RACI chart, and all those things. You identify your deliverables. Okay, in the instance of the school project now, you want to work with schools. Schools are not just schools, they are under something, and that's the Ministry of Education. One of the deliverables is basically ensuring that we go to these stakeholders. The stakeholders are now the Ministry of Education now, because if they say no to our project is going nowhere. Okay, we'll go and liaise with them, we'll discuss with them, they give us approval, documentation. Okay, we've gotten that. That's the deliverable. Because if we don't get that, we don't go to the next stage. And the next stage might be going to the schools to seek approval with the school as well, or maybe seeking approval from the parents that we want to work with their children. That is identifying the key deliverables of your project, and with these 5 key things. The first one is the executive summary, the project objective, your stakeholders, your scope, and identifying your deliverables. And the sixth thing here is allocating resources. Resources might not just be human resources alone. It will also include financial resources, and it will also include hardware or software resources. If you are working on a software project or if you are working on a physical project, all the things that you might be needing, okay, we are going to be buying this, we are going to be buying that. So you identify the required personnel and budget tools and material. You need tools, you need materials, and you need people. An example is, okay, what do we need for this project? You are assuming as a project manager, you are going to assume a lot, but you wouldn't want to assume a lot. That's why you need to work with experts. Okay, somebody just got to me that wants to work on a project, wants to build a website. How much is it going to cost? And it costs from an experienced developer. You don't want to say a price that will antagonize what the developer is going to tell you. So you allocate resources. So you are going to be buying 5 domain, or if it's a physical project, you are going to be buying 30 chairs. You are going to be buying clothes for our volunteers. You are going to be giving them food. You are going to be doing this. And also the seventh item here is you develop a risk management plan. I don't know if you guys heard me when I said not all projects will be successful and not all projects will go successfully, because why? Even in life, failures come, and in project too, failures come. So that's why you need to develop a risk management plan. What if this happen? What do we do? Okay, if the Ministry of Education say they're not giving us approval, what's our fallback plan or plan B? That's where you create your mitigation strategies and also your backup vendors. Now, if you are working on a physical project, if this vendor disappoints us, who do we run? And the eighth item here is establish a communication plan, because as a manager, you see yourself like a tree that is standing between many plants. You are going to be managing them, not necessarily doing the task. So you need to be very good in communication and team management. So how do you want to update your stakeholders? Are you guys going to be having a weekly status report or a daily check-in? If it's a project that you need to check up with the people that are doing the job, okay, we are going to be having a stand-up 15 minutes every day. I just want to know what the team are doing. And how do you plan to communicate with your team members? Are we using the normal regular WhatsApp? Are we going to be using a Slack? Are we going to be communicating via email? Are we going to be collaborating on projects management software like Asana or Trello? So that's everything that a good project plan include 8 items, and it's going to be a very, very long document, but it's a living document that will drive your project into success. I want to check if you guys have been hearing me so far, and I hope to God that I've not been speaking to myself and myself alone. Yeah, thank you. This person said he or she is a victim. Everybody is a victim, and a project is also an explanation of this. If you don't define your scope, you go scope creep, and at the end of the day, you get a sunk cost fallacy. So the second item now is we are going to be discussing about the breakdown structure. Before that, I think I have some tools. Yeah, behind every project plan is some things, or there are some things that you should not do, and there are some things that you should always hammer on. The first part is a compelling executive summary. You know, there are some projects that the money is not on ground. There are some projects that the money is on ground. If the money is on ground, you still have to justify for why you think they should give you the money for the project. And if the money is not on ground, then you still have to think about how to influence the sponsors or the partners to give you the money. This is where your executive summary comes to place. And if your executive summary does not include a problem statement, your sponsors don't have reason to sponsor your project. I don't know if I'm talking too much, but I just want to hammer on this executive summary part. Ensure your problem statement is always concise. It's always impactful. If anybody from anywhere is reading, be like, oh my God, so people are really suffering because this project is not in existence. Yeah, you've created a project plan that is getting people talking and that can resonate with your target audience, something that your target audience can really felt in their bone marrow. and engage your stakeholders early. That is where your stakeholder list come to play. Who are the stakeholders? Not that at the deadline, you now be like, you are supposed to talk to this person and you've not communicated with them. But a stakeholder list is going to tell you, we have primary and secondary. There are people that they are the bone and center of your project, and there are people that it's just that maybe you need a simple phone call with them, but they are still your stakeholders, and you should always communicate with them early. And the third part, my video is disabled, but I'm using my hand to clap that please document every single thing that happened, because why? You are not a machine and you cannot always remember everything, and you need a source of truth, and and you don't know who might actually need any information at any particular time. That's why even the littlest thing I document. This is what happened today. Hey, maybe I shouldn't document. I write date and time, because I can't always remember everything. Document everything, and always please have a backup, a Google Drive. If anything happens to your phone, it happens to your system, you don't want to say, oh, I lost this document. Everything should be in a Google Drive that somebody else is going to have access to. And it's not just that a copy will just go away. And be realistic. Be realistic. Delays will come. Sometimes you might go above your budget. You might even go below your budget. Just be realistic with yourself. It's just around our day-to-day life. Like I said, if you woke up this morning in the market, you bought yourself clothes, you've managed yourself. You just didn't manage a project. And as an individual too, we have to be realistic to ourselves. And the fifth item here, or the sixth, if I'm not losing count, is review and approve. That's going to start from the project charter. And you create project plan, your stakeholder must review. These are the people that, maybe the people that are giving you money, even your team member. If you create a project plan and your team member are not aligning with it, then you might literally have to go and learn that thing that your team member is doing for you, because you won't do it. The team member will have it done. Yours is just to manage. And the common pitfalls you should always avoid is when your problem statement is not clear enough. If it's not clear enough, then you don't know who the project is for. And omitting the executive summary, please and please, if you want to omit everything, do not omit your executive summary, because it is the heart and center of your project plan. And also ignoring risk, thinking everything will go just fine. Risk will happen. Many things, all foreseen circumstances that you don't plan for will happen. So if they happen, as a manager, will you be running enter-skater, or you fall back to your risk management plan? And overloading the plan with unnecessary details, don't do that, please. Your project plan should always be short and concise, straight to the point. Although straight to the point, you can have some 15, 16 pages long project plan, but it's also straight to the point and it's not bulky. So that's that about us discussing about the project plan. The next item here is building a work breakdown structure. But before I go to that point, I want to come back to the group and see if we are on the same page, if MTN has not done me shiggy. Yeah, I think you can still hear me. Yes, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that a lot. So the second item on our list is a work breakdown structure. I will still refer to the sentence I said that as a manager, you don't get things done. You manage people that do it. And the WBS is one of the great tools that you use to manage a great team. And what is a WBS? It's just a hierarchical decomposition of, okay, we want to build a website. What are the tiniest little thing that will lead to us having a full functional website? That's basically what it is. Today, I want to go to the market. What are those steps that I'll take that will take me to the market? Move out of my house, or the keke or a bike to the market. If I go to the market, will that stand still? No, I'll walk to the shop I want to buy from. That's basically a work breakdown structure, just for me to see it in a term that we cannot understand. And the purpose is basically breaking complex projects into smaller and actionable components, making it easier for us to assign, track, and manage work. I want to ask a question. If we are to wake up today and you say you want to do something and you don't have a plan, what do you think the outcome will be? Or let's say as a student now, you are going to school, you don't have a plan for school, or you want to read, you don't have a plan for reading. How will it be? I want to know. And I want us to please use the group to communicate with me. I don't want it to be as if I'm talking to myself alone. I'm expecting our responses in the group. I can see some people typing. Thank you so much. I'm expecting our responses so that we can proceed to the WBS part of the thing. Some slides. Okay, you either do not achieve what you want to, or you might achieve and meet many difficulties. Yes, you will be productive. That's just it. Sincerely, that's it. And as a manager, that's how it's also going to be. A work breakdown structure just gives you an idea of who is doing what. And under it is what should we expect. And the purpose of WBS is just to break complex projects into something that is small that you can take at a time. And aside your project plan, the WBS is the backbone that every project execution have. There are some things I should say that I didn't include. Every project has many stages. The moment somebody sat down and think in their head that, oh my, we are having this issue, I think we should have a project. That's the first stage, and it is called the project initiation. Somebody is thinking about something, communicating with somebody, and you guys are coming up with a project plan, you're doing all. That's around the project initiation. And the second part is the project planning. We plan vigorously for the project. And the third part is the project execution. All those plans that we've done, we are now using it based on the context of we are in the field now, we are up and running. The project plan will be giving us water, and the project initiation idea will be giving us hope that we'll still achieve what we want to achieve. And a WBS is actually needed at your project execution stage, while your project plan is needed at project planning stage. I hope we get this. Project initiation, project planning, and project execution. And you must always end your project too. The moment your project will end, I will give everybody a round of applause for doing a job well done. So we'll move on to the steps to create a WBS. The first thing is, it is from your objective. I think you might be thinking, oh, this is really the usefulness of a project plan. It is from your objective that you develop your WBS, because one of those things that you listed, that means to launch your website by so time, it is from there you pick a major deliverable. Then you start, how do I put it now? You start subdividing those deliverables into subtasks. So you place a main project at the top. It's just like a tree. Something is coming from an origin and something is branching into many things. The first thing is your project objective, and the many branch that it can have is decomposing it into work packages. Your project plan, your project objective. Now from that objective will come a major deliverable. Okay, we'll do a website design, we'll develop the content, we'll test. Those are major deliverables. And how do you decompose all those major things into small chunks that you can take one at a time? There's another thing that says you can't eat an elephant at a time. If you want to eat an elephant, just bite small. So Those work packages are some little chunks that you can start working on, and at the end of the day, there are small tasks that will sum up to the either the project objective or your major deliverables. And the fourth aspect of creating a WBS is you assign responsibilities. I've said this and I'll say it again. You can't do it as a manager. You can manage people that will do it. So how do you assign responsibilities? That's when you start talking about the RACI chart. And the fifth item is using a visual tool. You don't have to be rigid. You can literally do it on your notepad. And there are also softwares that can help you get it done. So that's what the WBS is. It's not something very complex, but it gives you a lot of head on as a manager. So this is what it is. An example. This is your project here. We want to build a website, and the sub project is we want to buy a domain. Let's assume, or maybe no, it's not a domain is not even the next thing. We want to design the website. Building is different from designing. The project I think it's a product designer now. A product designer will just have to design the static screen. Developing a static screen is a project. Okay, we are now going into the engineering part. Which stack flow are we using? That's also a sub-project. And a sub-task under developing or building a static screen is, okay, we'll conduct user research. We'll talk to people, what's the problem they're facing? We'll create an empathy map. Oh, we do this, we do that. I hope you're all getting the analogy I'm using now. Okay, let's use a day-to-day task. I want to go to the market as a project. And the sub-task will be, I want to have my bats, I want to withdraw money. You are having many sub-projects. Your major project is you want to go to the market. Your sub-project is, I want to have my bats and withdraw money. And then your sub-task for that sub-project is, of course, I have to leave my house. I have to go to the bank. I have to enter keke. Those are those sub-tasks and the work packages. This is just what AWBS is. It's nothing more, it's nothing less. It's just as simple as it is, but very crucial because it tells you what small works you do that will sum into a subtask and major subtask that will sum into a sub-project. And the do's and don'ts now. You always use the 100% rule. Every part of the deliverable must be included. You don't want to leave it. Okay, let's come to a physical project now. We want to submit letter to the ministry, to the office of the governor, office of the first lady, and you felt, we should not submit to the office of the should we say Ministry of Youth Affairs now? You are thinking somebody, oh, I'm so sorry, you're right. So that's actually one of the best practices for building a work breakdown structure using the 100% rules. Make sure your tasks are manageable. Don't overwhelm your team members with many tasks. Involve the team and use major WBS software. We have a whole lot of them. And the common pitfalls to avoid is creating an overly detailed task. You have to ensure your tasks are small and they are some that somebody can achieve, not overwhelm your team member, and ensure you don't omit critical tasks and you don't fail to update your WBS, because as your projects progress, then some tasks are no longer needed and some tasks are going to be needed, ensuring that you update. And the third segment of this is creating a timeline and also scheduling, because we have to create ahead as a manager. And what is scheduling in the context of project management is just scheduling the tasks that's involved in the project from the start date to the end date, identifying the dependency and creating a timeline. Dependency in terms of if we don't achieve A, we can't achieve B, then A have to come forward. You don't have to put B first when B is relying heavily on A. And the purpose of scheduling is just to ensure timely completion of the task, ensuring that everything is met on time. And the key insight is a realistic schedule balances ambition with practicality. We don't have to be ambitious and be late. If we're ambitious, we should be there on time. That's basically what scheduling does for us as a manager. And the step, I think, yeah, the tools for scheduling now, we have many tools for creating a great schedule as a manager. We have the Gantt charts, and this is what the Gantt charts look like. We have many templates of them in Google Sheets. It's just basically creating the task. You can see it now. We have the task, then we have the start date for them, and we have the end date. So as a manager, if you're working on a project and you discover that a project or a sub-task is going outside the deadline, then you really want to fall back to your Gantt chart and hold your team member accountable for not achieving something for you on time. So that's what Gantt chart does for us. And we have Trello and Asana too. They are just project management software that allows you to visualize your subtask, see which of them have been achieved and which of them have not been achieved. And we also have a whole lot of them. And the do's and don'ts for schedule now is always validate with your team. You're not the one doing the stuff, they are doing it for you. So you don't create a timeline without their consent, because if you do, what if the project, the subtask you are assigning the team member will consume more time that you are thinking as a manager. So as a manager, you don't assume when it comes to tasks. You consult the right people to know from them how long will it take you, how long does it normally take, and add buffers. Buffers is, okay, the person says 6 days, let me just say 8, just in case we don't know what's going to happen. And you monitor and adjust. We've done this, then you have to go and stick your schedule. We've done this is the next thing we need to do. And you communicate clearly with stakeholders. We are at this point of the project, we've done this. Okay, this is the next item we are going to be working on. And you balance flexibility too. You allow room for adjustment, but please avoid scope creep. We said it that you leave the market, you leave your home for bread, and you return with a nylon of shopping bag. You might want to be flexible, but you might also want to stay a little rigid so that you don't go outside of scope. And the common pitfalls to avoid is overly optimistic timeline. Something is taking 10 days, but as a manager, we should achieve it by 3. Don't do that. So ignoring dependencies, you have to understand which task is depending on the other, and you shouldn't fail to also track your progress. As we go in line, we tick what we've done, we know what we've done, we know the next item on the list. And the key takeaway is just a project plan is going to begin with an executive summary and a problem statement to align with your stakeholders, and a work breakdown structure organizes your project into manageable tasks, and a schedule keeps your project on track. And the pro tips is project management will always come from thorough planning. You might take months planning for an event that will only take 2 weeks, or a project that will only come up in 2 weeks. And knowing how to communicate and how to manage people is one of the little things that I'm saying social again. One of the little things that a project manager would also have in his or her toolkit. So thank you so much, everyone, and I apologize for taking our time this long. So right now, I don't know if we can have the questions you might have for me. Yes. Okay, maybe I'll do it this way. I'm going to provide you the slide so that you all can go over it. So I think I'm done from my end. I want to hear from you. What questions do you have? What it is that you've been thinking about project management that I didn't touch, or you've managed something and all the explanation I've given so far is not aligning in what you've known before today. I'm opening the floor down to take our questions.
All right, thank you very much, Ma. We are so grateful, and this was really an eye opener for every one of us. Can we just say thank you in the chat? So mindful of time, I think if there's any questions, to just be maybe one, but I'm also mindful of time because I know we've kept you here for so long. And I want everyone to just appreciate our speaker. Thank you. Let's just say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank